So as you all saw in my last video, we recently took a trip down to New Orleans, and I borrowed Bob's Duramax to pull the two-car enclosed down, sort of as a test drive to see if I like this truck. It has plenty of power and yet gets really good fuel economy, and on the 1,800-mile trip there and back didn't give a single problem. And although this truck is really nice, and it's a one-owner, fairly low-mileage Duramax, I wasn't quite sold on the idea of buying it. But since Bob's nice enough to allow us to use it for the next month or two, I figured I'll help him get it cleaned up, fix a few little things that need taken care of, and help him sell it. The 10-year-old truck could use a new set of headlights, and the windshield's got a couple bad spots in it. It definitely needs detailed under the hood, and it would benefit from some cut and polish on the paint job. There's some scratches in the doors around the door handles, and the interior could definitely use some help, as it's been used as a farm truck since the day it was new. So we're going to take this thing into Jack's Wax and try and get it cleaned up a little bit. I was talking to the guys in there the other day, and I was telling them about this truck, and I said, well, bring it in here. We'll have it detailed for you and get it all cleaned up. They've got a couple of different people that they work with that do a fantastic job in there. But anyway, I haven't really decided yet if I'm buying this truck. I was leaning towards not buying it until we got home, and Billy's Dodge has broke down again. It's sitting out here in the driveway. I had to shove it out of the way with the tractor. I don't know what's wrong with it. You go to start it, and it cranks, fires, and dies immediately. And this is like the second time it's done it. I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe a lift pump problem. I don't know. Anyway, we've got this truck all cleaned out. Me and Steve-O's gonna take it in there and drop it off. You ready, Steve-O? Billy's Dodge now has 260,000 miles on it. And although I really like the truck, it seems like every time we go to pull out of the driveway, it's broke down. So that's got me seriously considering buying this GMC, because it never hurts to have a backup tow vehicle just in case we need it. But regardless of whether I decide to buy this thing or not, I still want to help Bob get it cleaned up, fix a few things on it while I'm using it, and help Bob sell it in case that's what it comes down to. And my buddy Todd Isaac at Jack's Wax offered to help me get Bob's truck all cleaned up and detailed. And he's enlisted the help of another person that you've seen on this channel before, Mr. Zach Copas, owner of Tidy Rides in Columbus. Zach was the one that helped us detail the Phantom GT Mustang, as well as tint the windows, and he did a fantastic job. And it just so happens that Zach is doing some paint correction this week on some of the cars here in the Jack's Wax showroom, including this beautiful black 77 Ford F-250 Highboy pickup that's recently been added to the collection of cars and trucks here in the Jack's Wax showroom. I know exactly how detail-oriented Zach is with his work, so I wasn't the least bit surprised when he started picking the truck apart with his flashlight. He found every little scratch in the paint and gave me and June Pup every assurance this thing would turn out nice. You think you can do something with this?
I think we can.
All right.
We'll get this one cleaned up.
All right.
Beautiful truck.
It ain't bad.
The worst that way that.
Yeah, I broke him in real good, didn't I?
He knew what he was doing.
Well, Tanner, what did you think of the Wax Palace?
Way cleaner than what I thought it was going to be in there.
That is the Wax Palace of Palaces. He's got some nice stuff in there, doesn't he?
I think they waxed the floor in that place.
They wax everything. All right, let's go home. You ready, Juniper? All right, come on. So once we got done at Jack's Wax, it was time to come back to the shop and move vehicles around so we can get Billy's Dodge put in the shop. As Tanner pulled Billy's S10 into the trailer, I realized this is the first time he's tried to do this. You gonna be able to get out of there? You're gonna have to move that truck over to the right quite a bit, or you're not gonna be able to get out.
I got it.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, not gonna work.
Yeah, not gonna work. Typically, this is a job reserved for Buckwheat, or Billy, or even Tommy. But us bigger guys, well, we just have a little bit of a problem getting in and out of these trucks and cars inside the race car trailers. Tanner will get used to it. About the time Tanner climbed out of that S10, Paige rolled in to drop her morning deuce. I did my best to convince June to bite the shit out of her, but it didn't work out. Get her, girl. Kill! Instead of going in to aggravate Paige, I turned my attention to Buckwheat. When am I going to get this freaking Dodge fixed over here?
I don't know, next couple days.
You even know what's wrong with it? And no bullshit this time.
Tank pump's probably out of it, I would imagine.
You would imagine, so we're just gonna start throwing parts at it or what?
No, I'm gonna run a test on it.
Oh,
Heat
are
the
you?
tank up and see if it primes up. If it fires up after I heat the tank up, then I'd say it's probably that. We could push it into the building over there and turn the heat on.
Well, that's what we're working on right now. We're trying to move things around. Although Jeremy got out of moving that S10, I've got something else that needs moved. I need you to move that.
Nowhere in my services does it say parking lot attendant.
Well, today, that's on your job title because I can't fit in that damn thing and everything's wrong. You sit on the wrong side, the shifter's backwards. It's perfect for you because you're dyslexic. This Toyota Supra belongs to Molly and we're just storing it here for now.
You'll fit in there very good.
Eric, that's enough.
Jeremy looks right at home inside this thing.
Oh, man, that was great.
It seems like moving cars around is part of our daily routine here anymore. We needed to move the Supra out to get the El Camino out, to put the El Camino in the front garage, to do an oil change and service work to get it ready for sick week. With the El Camino out of the way, it was time to put the Supra back up on the lift and pull the Malibu in underneath of it, so that we have room to pull Billy's Dodge around back with the tractor and put it in the shop to hopefully get it to thaw out. Once we had Billy's truck pulled in the shop, we still needed to unload both cars out of the enclosed. The 55 is still in pretty good shape, but the Falcon needs an engine put in it. And since the Falcon engine project is going to be the first official project in the new shop, we need to go down to Billy's old shop and collect his toolbox. We just need to put all his tools back in it first. Okay, so this is where things get a little tricky. The plan here is to pick the toolbox up with the forks on the skid loader and load it on the trailer, which typically wouldn't be a difficult task unless the jack stand kicks out from under the trailer. Don't ask me how that toolbox didn't flip off the forks. Thankfully, we were able to back up, reset the jack stand, and try again. Now, not only can I not see where I'm going, I also really can't tell what angle I need to have the forks as I drive the skid loader up on the trailer. So I use the unlocked drawers as a gauge to tell whether the toolbox is level or not, which honestly worked out pretty good. As long as that drawer doesn't roll away from me, I know that the toolbox is tipped towards me. Once we set the toolbox down, we tied it to the mast on the skid loader and tied it down to the trailer and headed back to my house, where I will be unloading it on unlevel ground on gravel while backing off the trailer while trying to keep an eye on the toolbox ahead of me at the same time. Not only can I not see where I'm going, I also can't see where I've been. And I'm literally just guessing at how high the forks are above the trailer deck because I can't see those either. Believe it or not, despite the odds, I managed to get that toolbox moved and set in the new shop without even so much as a scratch. Although if I had turned that thing upside down, I don't think Billy would have even noticed. From what I saw, the tools in that box, it's going to take him at least a week just to organize everything and put everything back where it belongs. Anyway, at this point, we'd finally gotten everything moved around and tools moved so that we can start working on the Falcon the next day. Once we brought the 55 in and put it away, we turned the heat on and left Billy's Dodge out there to thaw out overnight. Well, let's go out here and see if this truck will start. It's been sitting out here in the shop for almost 24 hours in the heat. I doubt it. I seriously doubt that it's going to start, but I'm about to find out. Hey, Tannerite's in here. You getting started on pulling this thing out?
Started.
Very good. You already got your toolbox out here. Billy's got his toolbox, but I don't know how much of a count Billy's toolbox is. Oh boy. Check out the electrical drawer. Wrenches. Well, let's see if this thing will start. Have you tried this yet? Now, this is the second time we've been through this with the Dodge, and Buckwheat claims he thinks that the fuel's gelled up in the tank. Personally, I think there's another problem. That's a no. So it's going to be interesting to see what Buckwheat does when he gets here, if he ever gets here, to fix this situation. Today is going to be a hectic day because we're pulling the engine out of the Falcon, And we've got overhead garage door openers being installed today. And then our carpenter friend is here to start working on the office over here for Vicky. And we've got lumber being delivered in about, 15 minutes. Now that we've got the new shop insulated, the next step for the merch office is to finish out the front wall. And rather than make 50 trips back and forth trying to carry all this material, we had Straight and Lamp deliver it right next to the building. Now that we've got all the materials on site, Dave got busy finishing out the front wall. Meanwhile, Tanner's already gotten a head start on pulling the engine out of the Falcon, and he's got it rolled up on the lift so we can get to the bell housing bolts and the converter bolts. I, on the other hand, have a project out back that needs to be taken care of immediately. Every time we get heavy rains, I have to keep a close eye on the culverts out behind the shop because once they plug, the water will run across the driveway and wash the driveway down into the creek. So that was job number 1 this morning for me and June Pup. I'm just thankful we still have all my excavating equipment to spread gravel, fix the driveways, move toolboxes, and clean out culverts when we need to. Eventually, someday I want to build a bridge and get these damn culverts out of here because this has been a problem for years. But I've just never been able to afford to build a bridge, so maybe someday. About the time I was finished cleaning those culverts out, Billy had made it to the shop and so had Bucko. Billy went straight to work in the shop helping Tanner on the Falcon, and Buckwheat came in and started his usual routine pulling filters down off the Dodge. We had just put new fuel filters on the truck before we left for New Orleans, and after Jeremy found there was nothing wrong with them, I called Ryan Noble, a friend of mine who works on Cummins diesels for a living, and he told us, try this, pull the EGR plate off and see if the engine will run.
So, after fighting a stubborn nut, finally got it off. Here it is. Now it's time to give it a whirl and see if this works.
The Cummins has a variable geometry turbo, and if it should stick closed, it's not able to pass exhaust gases and the engine won't stay running. All right, so we all went to lunch and went to Harbor Freight to get a few things, and we just got back here a little bit ago, and my garage door guy, or my garage door opener guy, I should say, is here, and he's getting my garage door openers installed. I'm going on 51 years old, and I have never in my life had a garage door opener for any garage door at any place we've ever lived. In fact, most of the time when I was growing up, we had to work on things out in the driveway, and in the winter that meant laying out in the snow. So for me to have a heated shop with a concrete floor is a big deal. Garage door openers? Well, that's a luxury that I've only dreamed of having for about the last 30 years. So anyway, the guy finished up my garage door openers about the time Billy and Tommy were pulling the engine up out of the Falcon. They got the engine pulled out and set on the floor, and by the next morning, I came out to find the Falcon engineless, and Tanner had pulled Billy's Dodge in to get started pulling the turbo off. That way Billy can take it in and use it as a core and not pay core charge. While he's working on that, I unboxed these headlights that I'd ordered from Mark for Bob's GMC. So while Steve-O here is working on pulling the turbo off the Dodge, I'm going to take these headlights back down to Mark's and kick him in the nuts to see what in the hell a big idea is ordering Chevrolet headlights for a GMC. So I load up these headlights and me and June Pup make our way down to see Mark, since he claims he has corrected the problem and ordered in the correct headlights. Well, epic failure.
I didn't do this.
Oh, you're not going to take any responsibility?
Mark did this.
Mark himself? Well,
The
we'll
boss
see
man
about
himself. I think those might be the new ones.
that. I'll bet I open them before I leave.
I probably would if I was you and make sure. Hopefully this is what you need.
Did we do it this time?
You got it this time.
Well, you know, you said GMC and I heard Chevy, so I don't know.
I'm starting to think my brother's got a point about you.
It's a training thing, I think. I don't
Jeez, the
know.
crackers.
I don't know.
Well, those look good.
Yeah, those are beautiful. They got all the stuff too.
Yeah.
All the balls, everything's in there.
That's
Things
plug and
are
play.
probably- Those gotta be expensive.
I'll bet they are. And this is where things get awkward. When Thing 2 drops some gossip on me about my wife and some French guy. What are you talking about now?
That French guy that came down from France.
What French guy from France?
He's from France. Came down to the U.S. He's just driving around. He watches a YouTube channel. He got his mom and his dad to watch you guys. So
This guy's from France.
yeah,
The
from
country.
France. The country.
What was his name?
Francois.
Francois?
Francois.
Francois.
Yeah.
So it turns out back when I had pneumonia and I'm laying on my deathbed, this French guy is over here in the United States visiting and traveling the country. And he just so happened to stumble on my wife and my brother down at Mark's. While I'm back at the house coughing up a lung with pneumonia, she's down here bringing this guy Christmas presents. Now, in my opinion, this all sounds a little bit premeditated, so I go back to the house to find out what the story is. Hey, what's the big idea you running down to the auto parts store to hang out with some French guy? Francois?
He's my new French friend. Do you want to see a picture? I have a picture with him.
After being married all these years, finding out my wife has run off to the parts store to be with a French guy while I'm dying of pneumonia is pretty unsettling.
Doesn't he look like Keanu Reeves? He looks like a movie star. He says he feels like he was born in the wrong country. Like where he's from. Like
No, he's right where he belongs.
Like over there aren't many people with cool muscle cars. So he kind of stands out. But he has traveled clear across from one coast to the other and saw all the cool things. Spent New Year's in Nashville.
Were you with him?
No, but we're Facebook pals now, so I've been following his story of his whole adventure for this whole month across the United States.
Well, you just keep me up to date, okay? After the shocking French Connection revelation, I went out to check on Tanner in the shop and see how he's doing working on the El Camino. So where are we at on this thing, Tannerite?
Check the diff. Diff's good. Check the transmission fluid. Transmission fluid's good. Fresh oil change. About to check the brake fluid.
So did we get this belt replaced? That's nice and tight on the AC.
Nice and tight. Got this one nice and tight on the goes around the power steering pump and everything else.
Good.
No more squeak.
Now we just got to get the Malibu brought up here and get it ready.
Yep.
Tanner had started pulling the turbo off this truck this morning, and Buckwheat finally showed up to finish the job. You guys are twinning today. Somehow they're both wearing the same hoodie today, and they look like frickin' frack working on this Dodge. For you youngsters who don't know what frickin' frack is, Google it. Anyway, while they're stripping the turbo and getting it ready to be turned in as a core, it's time to back the El Camino out of the shop and bring the next car in for service. By that time, Buckwheat was done for the day until Billy gets a new turbo tomorrow. But me and Tanner are still working on race cars and street cars, and the next one to go into the front shop for maintenance is the Malibu. Tommy backed it out of the new shop while I pulled the El Camino back in underneath the Supra, and Tanner brought the 55 back in to keep it out of the weather. Once we get the Malibu serviced and get it out of the shop, we'll bring the 55 in next. Both those cars got quite a few miles put on them while we're down in New Orleans. I put over 300 miles on the Malibu during our stay, with the help of some of my associates. But that's nothing compared to the mileage we're getting ready to put on these cars when we take them to Florida for Sick Week at the end of January. Although the 55 is new to us, the Malibu has been put together the same way for a considerable amount of time and has logged thousands of miles. My main concerns on the Malibu is the fact that the gas gauge doesn't quite work right and the front brakes are brand new to the car and only have a few hundred miles on them. So I promised the guys at Strange I'd pull the front wheels off and check the brakes out really good before I take it down to Florida. And so far they're handling street use just fine. The weather so far here in Ohio has been very mild, but that's about to change. So this morning I picked up a new torpedo heater and some supplies to keep everybody warm while we're wrenching on cars throughout this cold snap that's headed our way. While Tanner and I are going over the 55 up in the front shop, out back the Dodge is waiting on its new turbo. Billy picked up the core and went into Columbus to pick up a new one, and Buckwheat plans on coming straight to the shop this morning to put this truck back together as soon as Billy gets back. I've got a few other things I need to get done before this cold snap hits, and one of which is moving the new 388 from the front shop out to the back shop so the boys can get it put in the Falcon as soon as possible. Now, Billy's had this engine sitting in the garage for 6 months, but the Falcon's been so good and they've got so much data on the old combination, they've been reluctant to change it. Once we got the 388 moved with the forks, Tanner helped me unload this skid of wood pellets out of the back of the 64 and get them put inside. Once we were done working outside, we went back in the shop and got back to work on the 55 until Buckwheat showed up to work on the truck. Hopefully we'll have this thing finished up this afternoon and we'll be able to put all our Dodge problems far behind us. What do you think there, Mr. Buckwheat?
I think this is like the 4th time I've had to put hold on.
Question.
What?
Should I buy that GMC?
Probably want to ask someone else.
No, I'm asking you.
With you driving it?
With me driving it?
Yeah, I'd say no.
Why?
Because I already see you making mistakes with a diesel.
What the hell mistakes have I made?
The other morning you fired it up and didn't even let it warm up, nothing. You fired it up, I heard it smoke fly and then in gear and you're dragging it.
That's not true. Not true.
It's not a 454.
I wish it was.
Well, it's not. So a tune-up for one of those is $10,000 in parts.
Oh, buckwheat.
Yeah.
Listen, hey.
You don't get out of no maintenance on those.
Listen.
0.
Which one's easier to work on, this or the GMC?
Or this.
Yeah, this one definitely.
Yeah, if you're gonna go get something.
You think I should go buy another Dodge?
Yeah. I've
Oh,
already
boy.
done the fucking Durasmack. It's a smack in the face is all it is.
I can tell by looking at it, it's terrible to work on underneath the hood. But this thing we've had to work on almost every time we come back from a trip.
It's been having, it's called maintenance. 200,000, it needs a turbo. 200,000, possible probably injectors if they haven't been done. 200,000, there's a tune-up list. Go through the maintenance chart.
Technically, it's got 262,000 original miles.
Maintenance time.
All right, guys, welcome back. So it's Friday night. Today was just crap weather all day. I don't have anything good to report from today other than Billy's Dodge truck runs again finally. So that's done. That's out of the way. The GMC, the Duramax, it's in at Jack's Wax, still getting detailed, and I should have it back mid next week. They're putting a windshield in it and stuff Monday morning, so they're saying probably midweek I should have the Duramax back. Today, I did manage to make it up to Uncle Bob's. I went up to the machine shop to visit him. He's back from Florida, at least for the time being. And one of the first things we're gonna work on probably next week is dynoing Tommy's 415 small block for his blue S10. But that's gonna be next week. Tomorrow, I'm going back up to the machine shop to help Bob dyno another engine. This time, it's a 5.3 liter LS. It was a customer's engine that came in the shop and an 06 Avalanche. The only thing Bob's done is put a BTR camshaft in it, and he'll have all the specs on that and stuff tomorrow. But it's made 417 horsepower so far on pump gas. And Bob made the comment today that he thought it would be really neat if we could put a carburetor on it and back-to-back test carburetor versus EFI on this little 5.3. So I made a call into Jegs, and Uncle Terry dropped me off an intake manifold tonight. It's a Holley dual plane, and I have an ATM 950 gas carburetor here that we can put on it, and we're gonna dyno test it back and forth. I've got some parts coming in the morning, a fresh set of spark plugs from Mark, so we can do a little tuning on the carburetor if we need to. But I know the 950 carburetor is way too big for that application. But it's the only gas carburetor I have at the moment. And so this was the gas carburetor that was optional for the 427 small block that we gave away. And the winner chose the E85 carburetor. So I still have the 950 gas carburetor. So that's the carburetor I've got. That's the carburetor we're going to use. And we're going to see how that goes tomorrow. In other news, I've got the Malibu all cleaned up from its trip down to New Orleans. Well, it was cleaned up. As you've already seen in the video, we've got the car all ready to go down to Florida. We also got a new gas gauge put in the dash. Thankfully, I found a brand new NOS gas gauge on eBay about, I don't know, 5 months ago. And Tanner actually pulled it in the shop for me the other day while I was out running errands and put a new gas gauge in the dash. And now the gas gauge works and functions like it should, thank God, because the whole time I've had this car, the gas gauge would never go past 3/8 of a tank. So thankfully that's taken care of. That'll be a load off my mind taking it on sick week down in Florida. When I get back from sick week, Bob and I have a plan to put another engine together for my Malibu. It'll be a pump gas engine, just a mild pump gas engine. We're probably gonna slow the Malibu down a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna put a pump gas motor together for the Malibu, and then I'm gonna take the 421 out of the Malibu, swap to a solid roller cam, and then that 421's going in my Nova. In other news, we're working on some new merch designs, one with a Malibu on it. Check this out. I should have these up on the website in about a week or so. We've got a Malibu design t-shirt, as you can see here, and this different one with the 55 and my red Nova on it. Now, when we put these shirts up on the website in a week or so, they're gonna be pre-order at first, but we're probably gonna end up stocking these. I feel like these are gonna be a pretty popular design, but that's gonna be, I don't know, a week or so before I get them up on the website. So anyway, that's gonna about wrap it up for tonight, guys. Like I said, I'm headed to Bob's tomorrow to go dyno that little 5.3, and Bob has told me he would like to do a giveaway on the 5.3. So the 5.3 LS, whatever it makes on the dyno tomorrow, be watching for this next giveaway on my channel. That little 5.3 LS is gonna find a new home, and it's available either carbureted or fuel injected. And we're gonna find out tomorrow how that ATM 950 stacks up to electronic fuel injection. Good night, everybody.